Welcome to History Facts and Mysteries. In today's episode, we delve into the life and legacy of one of the most influential and controversial figures of the 20th century, Vladimir Lenin. As a revolutionary, political theorist, and founder of the Soviet state, Lenin's ideas and actions changed the course of history. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell so you won't miss any of our deep dives into history's most pivotal moments. Early life and formative years. Vladimir Ilyich Ulyanov, known to history as Lenin, was born in 1870 into a middle-class family in the town of Simbirsk, Russia. His early life was marked by the intellectual curiosity and revolutionary fervor that would later define his path. Growing up in an environment where education and political discourse were valued, Lenin was exposed to radical ideas from a young age. The tragic execution of his older brother, Alexander, who was involved in anti-Tsarist activities, profoundly impacted him. This personal loss ignited a burning desire for change and justice, shaping his ideological foundation against an oppressive regime. During his formative years, Lenin was an avid reader, devouring works on philosophy, economics, and revolutionary theory. His academic pursuits were complemented by an early exposure to the social inequalities rampant in Tsarist Russia. The stark contrast between the lives of the privileged elite and the suffering masses left a deep impression on him. This period of his life sowed the seeds of his later belief in the necessity of radical change, a conviction that would guide him through the turbulent years ahead. As Lenin grew older, he became increasingly involved in political activism. He embraced Marxist ideas and began to see the struggle between the proletariat and the bourgeoisie as the central issue of his time. This early commitment to revolutionary change laid the groundwork for his future endeavors. It was during these years that he developed a keen understanding of the power of ideology, the importance of organization, and the need for a disciplined revolutionary party to challenge the existing order. The path to revolutionary ideals. Lenin's transition from a curious student to a committed revolutionary was gradual yet marked by critical turning points. In the late 1880s and early 1890s, he immersed himself in the study of Karl Marx's writings, finding in them a blueprint for understanding the social and economic structures that oppressed the masses. His study of Marxism was not merely academic. It became a passionate quest to apply these theories to the reality of Russia's political landscape. During this period, Lenin witnessed firsthand the brutal repression of dissent under the Tsarist regime. The oppressive nature of the government, combined with widespread poverty and social inequality, convinced him that a radical overthrow of the system was not only necessary but inevitable. He began to write extensively, articulating his thoughts on class struggle, imperialism, and the role of the revolutionary vanguard. His writings from this period are filled with a sense of urgency and clarity, setting him apart from many of his contemporaries. Lenin's commitment to revolutionary ideals soon led him into the world of underground political activism. He joined radical groups that sought to disseminate Marxist ideas among the working class. It was here that he honed his skills as an organizer and propagandist, learning how to mobilize people against an entrenched autocratic state. The inherent risks of this work were high. Arrests, exile, and even death loomed as constant threats. The rise of a revolutionary leader. By the turn of the century, Lenin had emerged as a key figure in the Russian revolutionary movement. His writings, including influential pamphlets and articles, began to circulate widely among radical intellectuals and workers alike. Lenin was not content to be a mere theorist. He believed that revolutionary change required not only a new way of thinking but also decisive, organized action. Lenin's rise to leadership was characterized by his ability to articulate a clear vision for the future. He argued that the working class, once organized and led by a dedicated vanguard, could overthrow the Tsarist regime and build a new society based on equality and justice. His ideas resonated with a wide array of people: disillusioned workers, peasants burdened by poverty, and even some intellectuals who had long grown skeptical of the old order. Lenin's persuasive oratory and incisive analysis of Russian society positioned him as the natural leader of the revolutionary movement. During these years, Lenin traveled extensively, both within Russia and abroad, to build support for his ideas and to establish connections with other revolutionary groups. His exile in Western Europe provided him with the opportunity to refine his theories and to establish networks that would later be crucial during the Russian Revolution. In cities such as Geneva and London, Lenin engaged in spirited debates with fellow Marxists, further refining his views on the need for a disciplined and centralized party to guide the revolution. One of Lenin's most significant contributions during this period was his adaptation of Marxist theory to the unique conditions of Russia. He recognized that Russia's predominantly agrarian society required a tailored approach, a theory of revolutionary transformation that accounted for the lack of a large industrial proletariat. This insight led him to advocate for a broad-based revolutionary alliance that included not only industrial workers but also peasants and other marginalized groups. His innovative approach helped to widen the base of the revolutionary movement and set the stage for the seismic shifts that were to come. The October Revolution and the fall of the Tsarist regime. The year 1917 marked a watershed moment in Russian history, and Lenin was at the epicenter of this dramatic transformation. The February Revolution had already shaken the foundations of the Tsarist regime, leading to the abdication of Tsar Nicholas II and the establishment of a provisional government. However, this provisional government proved unable to address the deep-rooted problems of war, economic instability, and social inequality. Lenin and his comrades saw an opportunity to steer the course of events toward a more radical solution. In his famous April Theses, Lenin called for an immediate end to the provisional government and a transfer of power to the Soviets, councils representing workers, peasants, and soldiers. His uncompromising stance galvanized the Bolshevik faction of the Russian Social Democratic Labor Party, and by the fall of 1917, the stage was set for the October Revolution. On a cold November night, Bolshevik forces launched a well-coordinated uprising in Petrograd, modern-day St. Petersburg. The revolution was swift and decisive, as the Bolsheviks seized key institutions and communication centers with minimal bloodshed. Lenin's role during the October Revolution was pivotal. His strategic planning, combined with his ability to inspire and mobilize the masses, ensured that the uprising would succeed against formidable odds. The fall of the provisional government was not just the overthrow of an old regime. It was the birth of a new political order based on the principles of socialism and workers' control. In the immediate aftermath, Lenin and his comrades set about consolidating power, establishing a government that would eventually become the foundation of the Soviet Union. The success of the October Revolution was both a culmination of years of revolutionary work and the beginning of an arduous period of state building. Establishing the Soviet state. With the revolution secured, Lenin turned his attention to the monumental task of constructing a new state. The creation of the Soviet Union was not merely about seizing power. It was about reshaping society according to Marxist principles. Lenin and his fellow Bolsheviks faced enormous challenges: a war-weary nation, an economy in collapse, and the daunting task of transforming social and political institutions that had been in place for centuries. One of Lenin's first priorities was to pull Russia out of the chaos of World War I. He negotiated a separate peace with Germany through the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk, a controversial move that sacrificed significant territory in exchange for an end to the conflict. This decision, though painful, allowed the Bolsheviks to focus on internal reconstruction without the constant drain of a protracted war effort. Lenin argued that a temporary loss on the international stage was a necessary sacrifice for the sake of building a socialist state that would ultimately lead to global revolution. Domestically, Lenin and the new government implemented sweeping reforms aimed at redistributing land, nationalizing key industries, and dismantling the remnants of the old feudal order. Land reforms were particularly significant, as they sought to break up large estates and distribute land to the peasantry. This policy was designed not only to address long-standing grievances but also to mobilize the rural population in support of the revolution. Nationalization of banks, factories, and other industries aimed to wrest control of the economy from a capitalist elite and place it in the hands of the state. A state envisioned as a temporary custodian until a classless society could be achieved. The establishment of the Soviet system was another revolutionary innovation. Soviets, or workers' councils, became the basic units of local government. These councils were meant to embody direct democracy, allowing workers, soldiers, and peasants to participate actively in the governance of their communities. While the ideal was a decentralized system of popular control, in practice, the central Bolshevik leadership maintained tight control over these Soviets to ensure the unity and direction of the revolutionary project. Policies, reforms, and the challenges of transition. Once the Soviet state was established, Lenin's government faced the daunting challenge of transforming an entire society in the wake of revolution and civil war. The period following the October Revolution was marked by radical experiments in economic and social organization. Lenin introduced policies that reflected both the urgency of reconstruction and the ideological commitments of Marxism. One of the most significant of these policies was the implementation of war communism during the Civil War, which involved the centralized control of production and the forced requisition of grain from peasants to feed the Red Army and urban populations. War communism, though necessary for survival during the crisis, soon led to widespread hardship and discontent among the peasantry. The harsh measures disrupted agricultural production and created a climate of fear and resistance in the countryside. Recognizing the unsustainability of this approach, Lenin introduced the New Economic Policy, NEP, in 1921. The NEP represented a strategic retreat from the extremes of war communism, allowing for a limited revival of private trade and small-scale capitalism while retaining state control over major industries. This policy shift was instrumental in stabilizing the economy and laying the groundwork for future development, even though it sparked debates within the party about the direction of socialist transformation. In addition to economic reforms, Lenin's government embarked on significant social reforms. Education was prioritized as a means to transform society and empower the working class. Efforts were made to eradicate illiteracy and to promote a new culture that celebrated the achievements of the revolution. Healthcare and social welfare programs were also expanded, aiming to provide basic services to the masses and to bridge the gap between the ruling elite and ordinary citizens. These reforms were not without their challenges, however, as they required vast resources and the reorientation of a society deeply entrenched in old traditions. Lenin's policies were implemented in an atmosphere of intense political struggle. The Bolshevik regime faced opposition not only from remnants of the old order but also from factions within the revolutionary movement itself. Intellectual debates raged over the proper balance between state control and workers' autonomy, between centralized planning and local initiative. Lenin's responses to these challenges were characterized by both pragmatism and an unwavering commitment to the revolutionary cause. As we conclude this episode of History Facts and Mysteries, we invite you once again to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell. By doing so, you become part of a community that is passionate about uncovering the complexities of our past and understanding the forces that have shaped the modern world. Your support fuels our quest for knowledge and ensures that these important stories are never forgotten.